Good evening, a warm welcome to you. Tonight we embark on a shared journey of inner exploration and ancient understanding. We will gently uncover the profound wisdom embedded within Buddhist ethical principles, guiding us toward a more compassionate existence. Before we truly settle, if you feel moved, please share the name of your country and your current local time. From which corner of our vast world do you find peace with us? This sacred space is dedicated to nurturing your inner landscape, fostering serenity within your thoughts, and gently awakening your deepest wisdom. Here, you are invited to simply exist, to breathe softly, and to let the quiet flow of these narratives guide you toward your innermost sanctuary. There is nothing lacking within you. We are simply here to gently remind you of the profound peace that already resides there. Should these reflections resonate deeply within your being, we warmly invite you to return whenever your spirit seeks this tranquil communion. Consider subscribing to keep this haven of calm readily accessible. For now, take a full, calming breath and allow yourself to be fully here, in this moment, as we prepare to explore the foundations of ethical living, the foundation of ethical conduct. Begin by gently affirming that our journey into wisdom always finds its grounding in our actions and intentions. In the serene landscape of Buddhist thought, ethics, or sila, is not merely a set of rigid external rules to be followed out of fear or obligation. Instead, it is understood as a profound and compassionate guide, an inner compass that directs us towards actions that foster well-being, not only for ourselves, but for all beings we encounter. This ethical framework creates the fertile ground upon which true spiritual growth can blossom, providing a stable and harmonious environment for the mind to cultivate stillness and clarity. Without this ethical foundation, our meditation might feel like building a house upon shifting sands, lacking the stability needed to withstand the inevitable winds of life's challenges. It is a conscious choice to live in a way that minimizes harm and maximizes benefit, a choice that profoundly shapes our inner world. The 5 precepts, which we will tenderly explore together, are therefore not commandments handed down from an external authority, but rather principles of training, conscious commitments we make to ourselves and to the world. They are vows taken willingly, expressions of our deepest aspiration to live with integrity and compassion. Imagine them as gentle pathways that guide us away from suffering and towards liberation. Each precept offers an opportunity to observe our impulses, our words, and our deeds, inviting us to respond to life with greater mindfulness and wisdom. They are tools for self-reflection, helping us to identify patterns that cause distress and to cultivate habits that bring peace. This understanding transforms ethical conduct from a burden into a profound practice of self-awareness and care for others, revealing the interconnectedness of all existence. Consider how profoundly our actions influence the tranquility of our own minds. When we consciously choose to act in ways that are kind, honest, and deeply respectful, our inner world naturally begins to mirror this external harmony. There is no lingering shadow of guilt, no gnawing whisper of regret, and no inner turmoil stemming from deeds that might have caused distress to ourselves or others. Instead, a profound sense of quiet contentment and ease gradually settles within our being. This inner peace is far more than merely the absence of conflict. It is a positive, vibrant state that allows for deeper relaxation, clearer perception, and more profound spiritual insights. It emerges as a direct, tangible result of aligning our external conduct with our internal values of compassion and wisdom, fostering an unshakable sense of integrity that becomes a sanctuary in itself, regardless of external circumstances. Beyond our personal inner calm, ethical conduct extends its gentle influence outwards, shaping the harmony of our relationships and the broader world around us. When each individual strives to live by principles of non-harming, honesty, respect, truthful speech, and clear awareness, the collective fabric of society becomes stronger and more compassionate. Trust flourishes where integrity is upheld, understanding deepens where communication is mindful, and kindness blossoms where empathy is practiced. Imagine a world where these principles are truly embodied. Conflicts would lessen, suffering would diminish, and a profound sense of shared humanity would prevail. Our individual commitment to these precepts is therefore not a solitary act, but a vital thread in the intricate tapestry of collective well-being, contributing to a more peaceful and just existence for all. The relationship between ethical conduct, meditation, and wisdom is often described as a three-legged stool, where each leg is essential for stability. Ethical conduct, sila, provides the foundation. Upon this stable base, the practice of meditation, samadhi, allows the mind to settle, to quiet its incessant chatter, and to develop concentration. As the mind becomes still and focused, it gains the capacity to see things as they truly are, leading to the development of wisdom, panna. Wisdom, in turn, deepens our understanding of why ethical conduct is so crucial, reinforcing our commitment to live skillfully. This cyclical process reveals that these are not separate paths, but interwoven aspects of a single holistic journey towards awakening, each supporting and enriching the others in a continuous dance of growth and transformation. It is important to remember that the 5 precepts are not given as absolute prohibitions that restrict our freedom, but rather as invitations to cultivate a deeper, more authentic freedom. They are not about denying ourselves joy or experience, but about recognizing where our actions might inadvertently create suffering for ourselves or others. When we commit to these precepts, we are choosing to free ourselves from the karmic consequences of unskillful actions, from the mental burden of guilt, and from the confusion that arises when our conduct is out of alignment with our deepest values. This is a liberating freedom, one that allows us to act with clarity, purpose, and genuine compassion, rather than being driven by impulsive desires or reactive emotions. They empower us to be masters of our own actions, rather than slaves to our unexamined habits. The true essence of the precepts lies not just in their literal interpretation, but in the spirit behind them. For instance, not harming life extends far beyond the physical act of taking a life. It encompasses all forms of aggression, verbal abuse, and even harmful thoughts. Similarly, not taking what is not given includes not only physical theft, but also intellectual dishonesty, exploitation, and taking unfair advantage of others. The precepts invite us to examine our motivations, to question the roots of our desires, and to understand the impact of our every interaction. They are living principles, meant to be explored and understood within the context of our own lives, rather than rigid doctrines to be blindly followed. This nuanced understanding allows for flexibility and compassion in their application, always guided by the intention to reduce suffering. Many revered Buddhist teachers have emphasized the foundational role of ethical living. The Buddha himself taught that, just as a tree, though cut down, sprouts again if its roots are untouched and strong, so too, if the roots of craving are not uprooted, suffering springs up again and again. This highlights how our ethical conduct, or lack thereof, directly impacts the roots of our suffering. The renowned Vietnamese Zen master, Thich Nhat Hanh, beautifully articulated this when he said, The foundation of all meditation and spiritual practice is ethical conduct. Without it, our practice is like a house built on sand. These profound insights remind us that true spiritual progress is inseparable from how we choose to live and interact with the world, establishing a solid basis for all further inner work and discovery. Engaging with the 5 precepts is a powerful practice for developing profound self-awareness. Each precept serves as a mirror, reflecting back to us our habits, our intentions, and the subtle ways we navigate the world. By observing how we relate to the precept of not harming, for example, we might uncover unconscious patterns of anger or impatience. By reflecting on the precept of truthful speech, we might become aware of tendencies to exaggerate or withhold important information. This honest self-inquiry is not about judgment or self-criticism, but about gentle observation and understanding. It is through this clear seeing that we gain the insight and the freedom to make more skillful choices, gradually transforming our character and cultivating a deeper sense of inner peace and personal integrity. As we gently lay this groundwork, understanding that ethical conduct is the very soil from which compassion and wisdom grow, we prepare to delve into each of the 5 precepts individually. Our exploration will invite us to consider how these ancient principles can illuminate our modern lives, offering practical guidance for cultivating a more harmonious and meaningful existence. We begin by turning our attention to the first and perhaps most fundamental of these commitments, the precept that speaks to the sacredness of all existence, inviting us to reflect on the profound implications of not harming any living being. Allow these thoughts to settle softly, preparing your mind for the gentle unfolding of this foundational wisdom. The first precept, not harming life. Let us now gently turn our attention to the first and perhaps most profoundly resonant of the 5 precepts, the commitment to abstain from taking life or causing harm. This principle extends far beyond the most obvious act of physical violence. It encompasses a vast spectrum of actions, words, and even thoughts that can inflict suffering upon any sentient being. At its heart, this precept is an invitation to cultivate an expansive and boundless sense of compassion, recognizing the inherent preciousness and vulnerability of all life, from the smallest insect to the largest creature, including ourselves. It asks us to pause, to consider the impact of our choices, and to choose paths that lead towards peace, healing, and well-being, rather than conflict and destruction. This is not a passive abstention, but an active cultivation of kindness and non-aggression in every moment. The essence of this precept lies in the deep understanding of interconnection. In Buddhist philosophy, we are not isolated islands, but intricate parts of a vast, interdependent web of existence. Every action we take, every word we utter, every thought we entertain, sends ripples through this web, affecting not only ourselves, but countless others, both seen and unseen. When we cause harm to another, we are, in a very real sense, causing harm to a part of ourselves, for there is no true separation. This realization fosters a profound sense of responsibility and empathy, urging us to protect and cherish all forms of life as we would our own. It reminds us that our well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of all, encouraging a holistic perspective that embraces the entirety of existence with open arms. The practice of this precept begins with developing a keen awareness of our own inner states. Often, harm arises from unexamined emotions such as anger, fear, greed, or ignorance. When we become mindful of these internal triggers, we gain the capacity to interrupt the cycle of reactivity before it manifests as harmful action. This involves pausing before we speak in anger, taking a breath before we act impulsively, and reflecting on the potential consequences of our choices. It is a process of cultivating inner spaciousness, allowing us to respond with wisdom and compassion rather than being swept away by unskillful impulses. This inner work is the true foundation of non-harming, as it transforms our internal landscape, making it a fertile ground for peace to flourish, radiating outwards into our interactions with the world. Extending the principle of non-harming to our daily lives means making conscious choices that reflect our commitment to compassion. This could involve our dietary choices, opting for plant-based meals to reduce suffering, or it might mean supporting ethical businesses that do not exploit workers or harm the environment. It also translates into how we interact with others in our personal and professional lives. Choosing kind words over harsh criticism, offering understanding instead of judgment, and seeking peaceful resolutions to conflicts. Even in our relationship with ourselves, this precept encourages us to be gentle, to avoid self-criticism and self-neglect, and to nurture our own well-being. It is a holistic practice that invites us to integrate compassion into every facet of our existence, creating a life that truly embodies peace. The Buddha himself taught extensively on the importance of metta, or loving kindness, as an active expression of this first precept. Metta is not merely the absence of ill will, but the positive cultivation of a boundless friendliness and goodwill towards all beings, without exception. It is the sincere wish for all to be happy, healthy, and free from suffering. By regularly practicing metta meditation, sending warm wishes to ourselves, to loved ones, to neutral persons, to difficult persons, and finally to all beings everywhere, we systematically expand our circle of compassion. This practice actively counteracts tendencies towards aversion and ill will, transforming our hearts into reservoirs of unconditional love. It is a powerful way to embody the spirit of non-harming, making compassion a living force within us. Consider the profound liberation that comes from letting go of the need to harm or control. When we release ourselves from the grip of anger, resentment, and the desire for retribution, we free up immense amounts of mental and emotional energy. This energy, once consumed by negativity, can then be redirected towards constructive, joyful, and compassionate endeavors. The first precept, therefore, is not just about what we abstain from, but what we gain: a lightness of being, an open heart, and a profound sense of inner peace that is unshakable. It is the freedom to live without fear of creating negative karma, knowing that our intentions and actions are aligned with universal well-being. This liberation is a direct path to deeper tranquility and a more restful state of mind. The practice of non-harming also requires a deep sense of humility and self-reflection. We must honestly examine our own biases, prejudices, and conditioning that might lead us to inadvertently cause harm. This includes acknowledging our own limitations, our moments of impatience, and our less than perfect reactions. It is not about striving for an impossible perfection, but about a continuous, gentle effort to become more mindful and more compassionate each day. When we stumble, as we inevitably will, the practice is to acknowledge it without harsh self-judgment, to learn from the experience, and to renew our commitment with fresh resolve. This ongoing process of self-awareness and gentle correction is at the core of truly embodying the first precept, transforming it into a living, evolving practice. Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, a revered Zen master, once wisely remarked, "The most important point is to find out what is the actual cause of suffering. In the context of the first precept, this means looking deeply at the roots of harm. Is it fear, ignorance, attachment? By understanding these underlying causes, we can address them directly rather than merely treating the symptoms. This deep inquiry transforms the precept from a superficial rule into a profound tool for self-understanding and liberation. It encourages us to cultivate wisdom alongside compassion, recognizing that true non-harming arises from a clear understanding of reality and the interconnectedness of all phenomena, fostering a holistic approach to ethical living that transcends mere superficial compliance. The first precept is a continuous invitation to expand our circle of care. It begins with ourselves, extends to our loved ones, then to those we find neutral, to those we find challenging, and finally, to all beings throughout the universe, seen and unseen. This ever-widening embrace of compassion is the heart of the Buddhist path. It reminds us that every single being desires happiness and freedom from suffering, just as we do. By embodying this precept, we become agents of peace in a world often fraught with division and conflict. We become living examples of how a commitment to non-harming can transform not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us, creating a ripple effect of kindness and understanding. As we allow these reflections on the sacredness of life and the practice of non-harming to settle within us, let us carry this gentle understanding forward. We now turn to a story that beautifully illustrates this very principle. A tale of a young monk and a delicate butterfly, reminding us that even the smallest encounter can hold profound lessons in universal kindness and the quiet power of choosing compassion in every moment. The butterfly and the wise monk. In the serene foothills of the Himalayas, where ancient cedars whispered secrets to the wind and crystal-clear streams meandered through lush valleys, lived a young, earnest monk named Kayo. Kayo was known for his gentle nature and his deep desire to understand the Buddha's teachings, not just intellectually, but with his entire being. He spent his days in quiet contemplation, sweeping the monastery grounds and assisting his revered teacher, Master Jinpa, a man whose eyes held the wisdom of countless sunrises and whose smile was as comforting as the softest silk. One afternoon, as the golden light of the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, Kayo was carefully tending to the monastery's small herb garden, his movements slow and deliberate, when something caught his eye. A vibrant indigo-winged butterfly, its delicate form usually a blur of motion, lay motionless on a broad lotus leaf, one of its wings clearly torn and crumpled, preventing it from taking flight. Kayo's heart immediately swelled with a tender ache. He knelt beside the injured creature, his shadow falling gently over it, and observed its struggle. He longed to help, to mend its fragile wing, to restore its ability to dance among the blossoms. His initial impulse was to carefully pick it up, to attempt some form of repair, to intervene directly in its plight. Yet, a quiet voice within him, echoing years of Master Jinpa's teachings on non-interference and the natural flow of life, urged him to pause, to breathe, and to observe without immediately acting. Kayo spent a long time just watching, his mind a quiet lake reflecting the butterfly's predicament. He noticed the tiny antennae twitching, the subtle rise and fall of its minuscule body, a testament to its enduring will to live despite its injury. He felt the pull of compassion, the urge to alleviate suffering, but also the deep respect for the butterfly's own journey, its own inherent nature. He remembered Master Jinpa's words. True compassion sometimes means allowing things to be, trusting in the inherent wisdom of life, and offering your presence, not your forceful intervention. This was a profound teaching, often misunderstood as inaction, but truly a call to mindful, non-attached engagement, allowing the space for life to unfold as it must. As the dusk deepened, Kaio did not touch the butterfly. Instead, he gently placed a larger, protective leaf over it, shielding it from the cooling night air and potential predators. He then sat in quiet meditation nearby, offering his loving kindness, his metta, to the small creature. He visualized the butterfly healing, finding peace and returning to the vibrant dance of life, or finding a peaceful transition if that was its path. He understood that his role was not to control the outcome, but to offer the purest form of his compassionate intention, without attachment to a specific result. The soft rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of crickets became a lullaby for his silent vigil, deepening his connection to the natural world. The next morning, Kaio returned to the garden with a mixture of hope and acceptance. He gently lifted the protective leaf. The butterfly was gone. There was no trace of it, neither its body nor any sign of its struggle. A wave of both relief and a subtle sadness washed over him. He wondered if it had recovered and flown away, or if it had found its peaceful end elsewhere. He sat down again, reflecting on the experience. Master Jinpa, appearing silently beside him, offered a knowing smile. "What have you learned, Kaio, from your indigo friend?" the master asked, his voice a soft murmur like the stream nearby. Kaio bowed. "Master," he began, "I learned that sometimes the greatest act of non-harming is not to interfere, but to offer protection and loving kindness, trusting in the wisdom of life itself. I wanted to fix it, but I chose to respect its struggle and offer only my gentle presence. I released my attachment to the outcome." Master Jinpa nodded slowly, his eyes twinkling. "Indeed, Kaio, to cause no harm is not merely to refrain from striking, but to cultivate a heart that truly understands its place within the great web of existence. It is to know when to act and when to simply allow, holding all beings in the embrace of your compassion." The master continued, "Each life is a precious thread in the great tapestry. Your choice not to impose your will, but to offer gentle protection and boundless good wishes, honored the butterfly's journey. You did not harm its autonomy, nor did you cause it further distress with your own anxiety. This is the subtle art of the first precept, to cultivate a spaciousness in your heart that allows all beings to unfold according to their own nature, while always holding them in the light of your purest intentions." Kaio felt a profound sense of peace settle within him, understanding that true non-harming was an act of deep respect and interconnectedness, a subtle dance of presence and loving detachment. This story beautifully illustrates that the first precept, the commitment to not harm life, goes far beyond simply avoiding physical violence. It extends to the intention behind our actions, to our willingness to respect the inherent path of every living being, and to our capacity to offer compassion without attachment to controlling outcomes. It is a call to cultivate a profound reverence for life in all its forms, recognizing that every creature, no matter how small, has its own unique journey and its own inherent value. The choice Kaio made was a choice to honor this interconnectedness, to trust in the natural order, and to allow his heart to be a vessel of pure, unconditional, loving kindness. Alan Watts, a great interpreter of Zen for the West, once said, The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Kaio's experience with the butterfly reflects this wisdom. He moved with the situation, joining the dance of life and death without resisting it, yet offering his compassionate presence. He understood that true non-harming meant respecting the natural unfolding of existence, even when it brought discomfort or a longing to intervene. This deep understanding leads to a profound sense of peace, knowing that we are acting in alignment with the universal flow, guided by a heart that wishes well for all. This gentle tale of Kaio and the indigo butterfly illuminates the profound depth of the first precept, showing us that true non-harming is an active, compassionate engagement with the world, guided by wisdom and respect for all life. As we carry this insight, let us now delve deeper into the active cultivation of this boundless compassion, exploring how we can intentionally foster loving kindness, or metta, in our own lives, transforming the mere absence of harm into a vibrant presence of care and connection for ourselves and for all beings. Cultivating loving kindness, metta. Having reflected on the profound meaning of non-harming, let us now actively explore its counterpart and extension, the cultivation of metta, or loving kindness. Metta is not merely a passive absence of ill will, but an active, boundless benevolence, a sincere and unconditional wish for the well-being and happiness of all beings, ourselves included. It is the radiant warmth that emanates from a compassionate heart, transforming our inner landscape and, by extension, our interactions with the world. This practice moves beyond merely refraining from causing harm. It actively seeks to generate positive states of mind and heart, fostering an environment where peace and joy can flourish. It is a powerful antidote to fear, anger, and aversion, systematically opening our hearts to a wider embrace of existence. The practice of metta typically begins with directing loving kindness towards oneself. This might seem counterintuitive to some, but it is a crucial step. How can we genuinely wish well for others if we harbor self-criticism, self-neglect, or even self-aversion? Sending metta to ourselves involves acknowledging our own struggles, our imperfections, and our inherent worthiness of happiness and freedom from suffering. Phrases such as, "May I be safe," "May I be healthy," "May I be happy," "May I live with ease" are gently repeated, allowing their soothing resonance to penetrate deep within. This self-compassion creates a stable foundation, like tending to our own garden before we can offer flowers to others, ensuring that our well wishes for the world spring from a place of genuine inner abundance, not depletion. Once a sense of loving kindness for oneself begins to take root, the practice gradually expands outwards. We then extend metta to those we love and cherish, family members, close friends, or even beloved pets, visualizing their faces, recalling their positive qualities, and silently repeating phrases like, "May you be safe," "May you be healthy," "May you be happy," "May you live with ease," helps to deepen the feeling of warmth and connection. This stage is often easy, as our hearts naturally open to those we care for. It serves to reinforce the feeling of metta, making it more robust and accessible, preparing us to extend this benevolence to less familiar or more challenging recipients. This gradual expansion ensures the sincerity and authenticity of our compassionate outreach. The next step involves extending metta to neutral persons, individuals with whom we have no strong feelings, neither positive nor negative. This could be a cashier at a store, a fellow passenger on a train, or someone you simply pass on the street. This stage is vital for breaking down the unconscious barriers we often erect between us and them. By sending loving kindness to those we typically overlook, we begin to dissolve the subtle distinctions that limit our compassion. It challenges our mind's tendency to categorize and judge, fostering a more inclusive and open-hearted perspective. This practice helps to cultivate a sense of universal kinship, recognizing the shared humanity and desire for happiness in everyone, regardless of our personal relationship with them. Perhaps the most transformative and challenging stage of metta practice is extending loving kindness to difficult persons, those who have caused us pain, annoyance, or who we simply find challenging. This does not mean condoning their actions or inviting further harm, but rather acknowledging their own suffering and wishing them freedom from it. It is a powerful act of releasing our own resentment and anger, which often harm us more than the person we resent. By wishing them well, we untangle ourselves from the emotional knots that bind us to their actions. Phrases like, "May you be free from suffering," "May you find peace," can be offered, understanding that their unskillful actions often stem from their own pain and confusion. This courageous act of compassion is deeply liberating for our own hearts. Finally, the practice culminates in extending metta to all beings everywhere, without exception. This includes all living creatures, visible and invisible, those near and far, known and unknown, in all realms of existence. We visualize the radiant light of loving kindness expanding outwards from our hearts, encompassing the entire planet, the universe, touching every single being. This boundless metta dissolves all boundaries, all distinctions, and all sense of separation, uniting us in a vast ocean of interconnected compassion. It is a profound realization of our shared existence and our common aspiration for peace and happiness, cultivating a truly universal heart that embraces the entirety of life with unconditional warmth and acceptance. The benefits of cultivating metta are profound and far-reaching. On a personal level, it reduces stress, anxiety, and anger, fostering a greater sense of inner peace and emotional resilience. Studies have shown that regular metta practice can increase positive emotions, enhance empathy, and even strengthen social connections. It helps us to navigate conflicts with greater wisdom and less reactivity, transforming challenging situations into opportunities for compassionate engagement. On a broader level, when enough individuals cultivate metta, it creates a powerful ripple effect, contributing to a more peaceful and harmonious world. It is a tangible way to embody the first precept, transforming the absence of harm into a vibrant presence of active care and connection. Dogen Zenji, a great Japanese Zen master, once taught, "To study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by all things." Cultivating metta is a profound way to forget the self, in the sense of dissolving the ego's boundaries and realizing our interconnectedness with all. As we extend loving kindness, the rigid sense of a separate self begins to soften, allowing us to be enlightened by the shared humanity and common suffering of all beings. This practice is not about self-sacrifice, but about self-transcendence, moving beyond narrow self-interest to embrace a boundless sense of belonging and universal responsibility, which ultimately brings us deeper into the Buddha way. The essence of metta is a radical acceptance of life as it is, coupled with an unwavering wish for all beings to thrive. It is a powerful, active form of non-harming, transforming our hearts into wellsprings of genuine care. When we practice metta, we are not just wishing, we are actively cultivating the internal conditions for peace to flourish, both within ourselves and in the world around us. This practice ensures that our commitment to not harm is rooted in a deep, positive aspiration, rather than merely a restraint. It is a continuous, gentle opening of the heart, allowing us to meet every moment with greater compassion and understanding, making our ethical conduct a natural outflow of our awakened nature. Having explored the expansive and transformative practice of cultivating loving kindness, which is the active expression of the first precept, we now shift our focus to another fundamental pillar of ethical living. We will gently turn our attention to the second precept, a principle that guides us in our interactions concerning possessions and resources, inviting us to reflect on the profound wisdom of honesty, integrity, and the practice of not taking what is not freely given. The second precept, not taking what is not given. Let us now gently direct our awareness to the second of the 5 precepts, the commitment to abstain from taking what is not freely given. This precept, at its core, is an invitation to cultivate impeccable honesty, deep integrity, and a profound respect for the property and resources of others. It extends far beyond the literal act of stealing, encompassing any action where we take advantage, exploit, or acquire something through deceit, manipulation, or coercion. This principle calls us to examine our relationship with material possessions, with wealth, and with the resources of the planet, encouraging us to live in a way that honors fairness, justice, and the mutual trust that forms the bedrock of any harmonious community. It is about fostering a sense of contentment with what we have, rather than constantly striving for more through unskillful means. This precept is deeply intertwined with the concept of right livelihood in Buddhist teachings, which encourages us to earn our living in ways that do not cause harm to ourselves or others, and that are ethically sound. It challenges us to reflect on the origins of our possessions and resources. Are they acquired through honest effort? Do they come at the expense of someone else's well-being? Are our business practices fair and transparent? By asking these questions, we cultivate a deeper sense of responsibility for our economic actions and their broader impact. This is not about asceticism or denying ourselves comfort, but about ensuring that our prosperity is built upon a foundation of integrity, contributing to the well-being of all, rather than extracting from it. The practice of not taking what is not given also fosters a profound sense of trust within society. When individuals uphold this precept, a community naturally becomes more secure, more cooperative, and more peaceful. Imagine a world where everyone respected the property and efforts of others. The need for locks, surveillance, and suspicion would dramatically diminish. This precept is therefore not just a personal ethical guideline, but a cornerstone of collective harmony. It cultivates an atmosphere where people can rely on each other's honesty, where transactions are fair, and where mutual respect is paramount. This creates a fertile ground for genuine connection and collaboration, free from the undercurrents of fear and distrust that often plague societies where this precept is neglected. Beyond material possessions, this precept can also be understood in terms of respecting intellectual property, time, and even emotional energy. Taking credit for someone else's ideas, wasting another person's time through carelessness, or exploiting someone's emotional vulnerability for personal gain are all subtle forms of taking what is not given. It invites us to be mindful of how we interact in all aspects of our lives, ensuring that our exchanges are balanced, respectful, and mutually beneficial. This broader interpretation encourages a holistic approach to integrity, reminding us that honesty extends to every corner of our existence, fostering relationships built on genuine respect and transparent communication, rather than hidden agendas or subtle exploitation. Cultivating generosity, or dana, is the active counterpart to the second precept, just as metta is to the first. Generosity is the practice of freely giving, sharing our resources, our time, and our energy with others without expectation of return. It is a powerful antidote to greed and attachment, which often lie at the root of taking what is not given. By regularly practicing generosity, we loosen the grip of clinging and cultivate a heart that is open, abundant, and willing to share. This can range from simple acts of kindness, like offering a helping hand, to donating resources to those in need. Each act of giving reinforces the understanding that true wealth lies not in what we accumulate, but in what we share and how we contribute to the well-being of others. The practice of contentment, santuthi, is also intimately linked to this precept. When we find satisfaction and joy in what we already have, rather than constantly craving more, the urge to take what is not ours naturally diminishes. Contentment does not mean complacency or a lack of ambition. Rather, it is a deep appreciation for the present moment and the resources available to us. It frees us from the endless cycle of desire and dissatisfaction, allowing us to find peace and abundance in simplicity. By cultivating contentment, we reduce the inner pressure that might lead us to compromise our integrity, fostering a sense of sufficiency that allows us to live with greater ease and inner freedom, detached from the constant pursuit of external gains. Thich Nhat Hanh, with his gentle wisdom, often spoke about the importance of mindful consumption, a direct application of this precept. He encouraged us to look deeply at what we consume, where it comes from, and whether its production caused harm. When you know how to suffer, he said, you suffer much less. This applies to our consumption habits as well. By being mindful of our needs versus our wants, and by choosing products and services that align with ethical principles, we actively embody the second precept. This mindful approach to consumption is a powerful way to live in harmony with the planet and with all beings, ensuring that our choices contribute to a more just and sustainable world for everyone. The second precept invites us to reflect on the subtle ways we might take without explicit permission. This could be using company resources for personal gain, bending rules for our own advantage, or even subtly manipulating situations to benefit ourselves at others' expense. It encourages a meticulous examination of our conscience, asking us to uphold integrity even in the smallest, most private actions. This rigorous self-honesty builds a strong inner character, a moral compass that remains steady regardless of external pressures. It is a commitment to living with transparency and authenticity, ensuring that our inner values are consistently reflected in our outward conduct, creating a profound sense of coherence and inner peace. Ultimately, upholding the second precept leads to a profound sense of inner lightness and freedom. When we know that our possessions are acquired honestly, that our relationships are built on trust, and that our actions are transparent, we can rest easy. There is no hidden burden of deceit, no fear of exposure, and no gnawing guilt. This ethical clarity allows the mind to be calm and focused, creating ideal conditions for meditation and the cultivation of wisdom. It is the freedom that comes from knowing we are living in alignment with universal principles of justice and fairness, contributing positively to the world rather than detracting from it. As we allow these reflections on honesty and integrity to settle within our minds, preparing the ground for deeper understanding. Let us now turn our attention to a story that beautifully illustrates the power of this second precept. We will hear of a merchant and a lost coin, a tale that reveals the profound peace and inner richness that comes from choosing the path of impeccable honesty, even when faced with temptation. The merchant and the lost coin. In a bustling city nestled by a wide, slow-moving river, where the scent of spices mingled with the chatter of daily commerce, lived a merchant named Ravindra. Ravindra was known for his meticulously kept stall, piled high with vibrant silks and intricate carvings. He was a man of modest means, but held a deep respect for the principles of fairness and honest trade, lessons instilled in him by his quiet, wise grandmother. One sweltering afternoon, as the sun beat down relentlessly and the crowds began to thin, Ravindra was carefully packing away his remaining goods. As he swept the dusty ground beneath his stall, his broom nudged something small and glinting beneath a discarded piece of cloth. He bent down, his fingers brushing against a cool metallic disc. It was a small, exquisitely crafted gold coin, clearly of significant value, far more than Ravindra typically earned in several days. His heart gave a little jolt, a mixture of surprise and a subtle flicker of temptation. No one else was around. The street was almost deserted. He could easily slip it into his pocket, and no one would ever know. A fleeting thought whispered in his mind. This could help pay for repairs to the leaking roof, or buy new medicines for my ailing sister. The coin felt heavy and cool in his palm, a tangible promise of relief from his daily struggles. He stood there for a long moment, the sounds of the distant city fading into a quiet hum as he wrestled with his conscience, feeling the weight of the gold and the weight of his own principles. Ravindra closed his eyes, taking a deep, calming breath. He remembered his grandmother's gentle voice. Honesty is the only true wealth, my dear Ravindra, for it brings a peace no coin can buy. He also recalled the teachings of the village elder, a quiet man who spoke often of the Buddha's path, emphasizing that true contentment comes from not taking what is not given. The fleeting image of his grandmother's serene face, etched with lines of wisdom, solidified his resolve. The immediate gratification of keeping the coin, he realized, would be overshadowed by the persistent whisper of guilt and the erosion of his own integrity, a price far too high for any material gain. The gold coin suddenly felt less like a gift and more like a test. He opened his eyes, the temptation now softened by his clear decision. The coin was not his. Someone had lost it, and that someone was likely in distress. He could not, in good conscience, claim it for himself. But how to find the rightful owner in this vast, bustling city? He knew it would be a difficult task, perhaps even a fruitless one, but the resolve to try settled firmly in his heart. Ravindra carefully wrapped the coin in a clean piece of silk and placed it in a small, secure pouch he always carried, knowing that his journey to uphold the second precept had just begun. He understood that the peace he sought was not in possessing the coin, but in the integrity of his actions. For the next few days, Ravindra made quiet inquiries among his fellow merchants, asking if anyone had recently lost anything of value. He described the coin vaguely, careful not to reveal too much, hoping to confirm the true owner without attracting false claims. He listened patiently to stories of lost earnings and forgotten trinkets, his heart aching for those who had suffered genuine loss. Each evening, he would look at the coin, a silent reminder of his commitment, and renew his resolve. The search was slow, and many days passed without any promising leads. Doubt occasionally crept in, whispering that he was foolish to pursue such a difficult quest for an unknown person. But he gently pushed these thoughts aside, clinging to his guiding principle. Then, one brisk morning, a distraught woman approached his stall. Her name was Lilavati, and her face was etched with worry. She wasn't looking for silks or carvings. She was desperately asking if anyone had seen a small gold coin, a family heirloom, which she had accidentally dropped near the market a few days prior. Her voice trembled as she explained its sentimental value, how it had belonged to her grandmother, and how she felt utterly heartbroken by its loss, as it was meant to fund a critical medicine for her ailing child. Her description of the coin, its unique engraving and slight imperfection, matched perfectly with the one Ravindra had found. Ravindra's heart leapt with relief and profound joy. He calmly listened to her full story, ensuring every detail aligned. When she finished, tears welling in her eyes, he reached into his pouch and carefully presented the wrapped gold coin. Lilavati gasped, her hands flying to her mouth, her eyes wide with disbelief and gratitude. As he handed it to her, explaining how he had found it and held onto it, a deep sense of peace enveloped Ravindra. It was a feeling far richer than any gold could ever buy, a quiet contentment that settled deep within his bones. Lilavati, overwhelmed with emotion, tried to offer him a generous reward, but Ravindra gently refused. "The greatest reward," he said, his voice soft but firm, "is the peace in my heart. To return what is not mine, to see the joy in your eyes, this is enough." Lilavati, tears now freely flowing, bowed deeply to him, her gratitude radiating outwards. As she walked away, clutching the coin tightly, Ravindra felt an immense lightness, a profound sense of rightness in the universe. The weight of the world seemed to lift from his shoulders. He returned to his stall, his spirit renewed, understanding more deeply than ever the true meaning of his grandmother's words and the Buddha's teachings on honesty. This story of Ravindra and the lost gold coin beautifully illustrates the profound impact of the second precept, the commitment to not take what is not given. It shows us that true wealth is not measured in material possessions, but in the integrity of our character and the peace of our conscience. Ravindra faced a clear temptation, an opportunity to gain at another's expense, yet he chose the path of honesty, driven by his inner principles and the wisdom passed down to him. His journey to find the rightful owner, despite its difficulties, solidified his commitment and brought him a satisfaction far greater than any personal gain could have offered. Jack Cornfield, a contemporary Buddhist teacher, often speaks of the inner freedom that comes from living with integrity. He says, "The things that we acquire, they are temporary. The only thing that is permanent is the love and the wisdom that we cultivate in our hearts." Ravindra's actions perfectly embody this wisdom. He understood that the temporary relief a gold coin might offer was nothing compared to the enduring peace and self-respect that came from acting with unwavering honesty. His choice was a testament to the power of ethical conduct to transform temptation into an opportunity for profound spiritual growth and inner liberation. As we allow the quiet wisdom of Ravindra's story to settle within us, reflecting on the profound peace that comes from choosing integrity over personal gain, we prepare to further explore the far-reaching implications of this second precept. Let us now turn our attention to how this principle of honesty and respect for what is not ours actively cultivates the richness of generosity and contentment in our daily lives, transforming our relationship with possessions and fostering a deeper sense of inner abundance. The richness of generosity. Having witnessed Ravindra's unwavering commitment to honesty, let us now delve deeper into the active counterpart of the second precept, the cultivation of generosity, or dana. While abstaining from taking what is not given is a foundational ethical boundary, the practice of generosity is the positive, expansive expression of this principle. It is about actively sharing, giving freely, and contributing to the well-being of others, not out of obligation, but from a heart overflowing with kindness and an understanding of interconnectedness. Generosity is a powerful antidote to greed, attachment, and the scarcity mindset, transforming our relationship with possessions from one of clinging to one of open-handed abundance. Generosity manifests in countless forms, extending far beyond the giving of material wealth. While financial contributions to worthy causes or offering material support to those in need are certainly expressions of dana, it also encompasses the giving of our time, our energy, our knowledge, and our compassion. It is offering a listening ear to a friend in distress, volunteering for a cause we believe in, sharing our skills to help someone learn, or simply offering a kind word and a genuine smile to a stranger. Each act of giving, no matter how small, sends ripples of positive energy into the world, and perhaps more importantly, cultivates a profound sense of inner richness and joy within the giver. The practice of generosity is a direct path to loosening the grip of attachment, which is often the root cause of suffering. We live in a society that constantly encourages us to acquire more, to possess more, and to define our worth by our material wealth. Generosity challenges this narrative by reminding us that true abundance lies not in what we accumulate, but in our capacity to share and contribute. When we give freely, we experience a sense of liberation from the fear of not having enough and from the burden of clinging to possessions. This freedom allows us to experience a deeper sense of security and contentment, knowing that our happiness is not dependent on external circumstances. Consider the profound psychological benefits of generosity. When we give, our brains release oxytocin, a hormone associated with bonding and trust, and activate reward centers, leading to feelings of happiness and well-being. This helper's high is a natural affirmation that generosity is not just good for the recipient, but deeply beneficial for the giver. It fosters a sense of purpose, meaning, and connection, counteracting feelings of isolation and loneliness. By actively seeking opportunities to give, we cultivate a positive feedback loop that reinforces compassion and kindness, making them more natural and effortless aspects of our daily lives. The Buddha taught that the gift of Dharma excels all gifts. This means that sharing wisdom, offering guidance, and helping others understand the path to liberation is the highest form of generosity. While not all of us are Dharma teachers, we can still share our insights, our understanding, and our experiences in ways that uplift and inspire others. This could be sharing a book that profoundly impacted us, offering a word of encouragement to someone struggling, or simply living our lives as an example of peace and compassion. These acts of sharing wisdom contribute to the collective awakening, illuminating the path for others and enriching the spiritual landscape for all. Furthermore, the practice of generosity is intimately connected with the cultivation of santuti, or contentment. When we give freely, we are implicitly affirming that we have enough, that we are sufficient. This mindset shifts our focus from what we lack to what we possess, both materially and internally. Contentment is not about settling for less, but about finding joy and peace in the present moment, appreciating what is already here. It frees us from the endless cycle of craving and dissatisfaction, which often fuels the desire to take what is not ours. By embracing both generosity and contentment, we create a powerful synergy that fosters a deep sense of inner peace and abundance, regardless of external circumstances. Pema Chodron, a beloved Buddhist nun and author, often speaks about the bravery required to open our hearts. She says, "To be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continually thrown out of the nest." Generosity, especially when it feels challenging, can be such an act of courage, throwing us out of our comfort zone of self-preservation and into the expansive space of interconnectedness. It requires us to trust, to let go of control, and to embrace vulnerability. Yet, it is precisely in this openness that we discover our greatest strength and our deepest capacity for love and compassion, transforming fear into an opportunity for growth. The richness of generosity also extends to how we interact with the environment. Mindful consumption, as touched upon earlier, is a form of generosity towards the planet and future generations. By consuming less, recycling, and supporting sustainable practices, we are giving back to the earth, ensuring that its resources are preserved and protected. This ecological generosity recognizes our profound interdependence with the natural world, understanding that its well-being is inextricably linked to our own. It is an acknowledgement of our role as stewards of the earth, inspiring us to live in a way that nourishes and sustains all life. Ultimately, the practice of generosity transforms us from within. It softens our hearts, expands our perspective, and deepens our connection to all beings. It is a continuous act of giving, not just of material things, but of our very presence, our kindness, and our compassionate attention. This constant flow of giving creates an inner reservoir of peace and joy that is inexhaustible. For the more we give, the more we receive in terms of inner fulfillment. It is the true wealth that no one can take away, a lasting legacy of a life lived with an open heart and a generous spirit. As we internalize the profound richness that generosity brings to our lives, understanding how it actively complements the principle of not taking what is not given, we are now ready to explore another vital aspect of ethical conduct. Let us gently shift our focus to the third precept, which guides us in the realm of relationships and intimacy, inviting us to reflect on the importance of respect, responsibility, and the cultivation of harmonious connections. The third precept, right interpersonal conduct. Let us now gently turn our attention to the third of the 5 precepts, the commitment to abstain from improper interpersonal conduct. This precept invites us to cultivate respect, responsibility, and integrity in our intimate relationships, fostering connections built on trust, clarity, and mutual well-being. It is not about asceticism or denying the natural human experience of intimacy, but rather about ensuring that our relational expression is wholesome, consensual, and free from harm, exploitation, or deceit. At its heart, this principle encourages us to approach intimacy with mindfulness and compassion, recognizing the profound impact our actions can have on ourselves and on others, both physically and emotionally. The essence of right interpersonal conduct lies in respecting the autonomy and dignity of all individuals involved. This means ensuring that all intimate interactions are fully consensual, freely given, and devoid of any form of coercion, manipulation, or exploitation. It also emphasizes the importance of honesty and transparency within relationships, avoiding deception or breaking commitments that have been made. Whether in committed partnerships or more casual encounters, the precept calls for clear communication, mutual understanding, and a deep sensitivity to the boundaries and feelings of others. It is about fostering an environment of safety and trust, where intimacy can truly flourish without causing pain or regret. This precept extends beyond the physical act to encompass the emotional and psychological dimensions of intimacy. It encourages us to consider the long-term impact of our actions, not just the immediate gratification. Engaging in relational conduct that causes distress, breaks trust, or leads to emotional suffering for ourselves or others would be considered improper. This includes infidelity within a committed relationship, engaging in relationships that exploit power imbalances, or using another person for selfish pleasure without regard for their feelings. The third precept, therefore, invites us to cultivate a deep sense of empathy and responsibility, ensuring that our intimate interactions contribute to well-being and harmony, rather than to confusion or pain. The cultivation of self-awareness is crucial in upholding this precept. Often, improper conduct arises from unexamined desires, attachments, or unconscious patterns. By bringing mindfulness to our desires, we can understand their roots and choose to act from a place of wisdom rather than simply being driven by impulse. This involves recognizing the difference between genuine connection and fleeting craving, and understanding the potential consequences of our actions. It is an invitation to pause, to reflect on our motivations, and to ensure that our intimate choices are aligned with our deepest values of compassion and integrity, fostering relationships that are truly wholesome and enriching for all involved. For those in committed relationships, the third precept underscores the importance of loyalty, fidelity, and mutual respect. It encourages partners to nurture their connection through honest communication, shared values, and a commitment to each other's growth and happiness. Infidelity, for example, is a clear violation of this precept, as it typically involves deceit, breaks trust, and causes profound suffering. Upholding this precept within a partnership means actively working to maintain an environment of safety, trust, and loving support, ensuring that the relationship remains a source of strength and joy for both individuals, fostering a deep and enduring bond built on mutual care. For those who are not in committed relationships, the precept still offers valuable guidance. It encourages responsible and respectful engagement, avoiding actions that could cause harm, exploit others, or lead to negative consequences. This means being honest about intentions, respecting boundaries, and ensuring that all interactions are consensual and considerate. It also invites reflection on how our choices impact not only ourselves, but also the broader community, ensuring that our conduct contributes to a culture of respect and dignity, rather than one of exploitation or objectification. The precept thus serves as a compass for navigating the complexities of intimacy with wisdom and compassion, regardless of one's relationship status. Thich Nhat Hanh, with his gentle wisdom, often spoke about the concept of interbeing in all relationships, including intimate ones. He taught that when we look deeply, we see that we are interconnected with everything and everyone. In the context of the third precept, this means recognizing that our partner's well-being is inextricably linked to our own. When we cause harm to another in an intimate context, we are, in a profound sense, causing harm to ourselves. This understanding fosters a natural inclination towards care, respect, and mutual support, transforming intimacy into a practice of shared awakening and deep, compassionate connection, rather than a mere pursuit of individual pleasure. The freedom that arises from upholding this precept is a profound one. When our intimate relationships are built on honesty, respect, and responsibility, we are free from the burdens of guilt, deceit, and potential karmic consequences. There is a lightness of being that comes from knowing our actions are aligned with our deepest values, fostering clarity of mind and peace of heart. This ethical clarity allows for genuine connection, vulnerability, and intimacy to flourish, creating relationships that are truly nourishing and supportive. It is the freedom to love and be loved authentically, without the shadows of regret or unspoken truths, cultivating a deep and enduring sense of trust. This precept, like all the others, is not about judgment, but about mindful inquiry. It invites us to examine our cultural conditioning, our personal desires, and the ways in which we have been taught to relate to intimacy. It encourages us to question if our actions truly serve the highest good for all involved, or if they are driven by unexamined impulses. By bringing this level of conscious awareness to our intimate lives, we transform them into a path of spiritual growth, cultivating relationships that are deeply respectful, profoundly meaningful, and truly conducive to collective well-being and liberation from suffering. As we allow these reflections on right interpersonal conduct, respect, and responsibility to settle within our hearts, we prepare to encounter a story that beautifully illustrates these principles. We will hear of a couple seeking guidance from a wise master, and how they learn to cultivate a relationship rooted in trust and mindful attention, much like a deeply rooted ancient tree, signifying the enduring strength of integrity in intimate bonds. The couple and the ancient tree. In a tranquil village nestled beside a slow-moving river, surrounded by hills covered in ancient gnarled olive trees, lived a young couple named Arya and Deepak. They loved each other deeply, yet lately, a subtle disquiet had begun to creep into their relationship. Misunderstandings arose more easily, small silences grew longer, and a sense of unspoken tension sometimes hung between them, like a faint mist. Desiring to rekindle the clear, open connection they once shared, they decided to seek counsel from Elder Surya, a revered master who lived in a simple hermitage high on the nearest hill, known for his profound wisdom on human relationships and the art of living harmoniously. They climbed the winding path to Surya's hermitage, the air growing cooler and clearer with each step. They found the elder seated beneath a magnificent ancient banyan tree, its immense roots sprawling like wise old limbs across the earth, its canopy providing deep, dappled shade. Its presence exuded a profound sense of groundedness and timeless strength. Arya and Deepak bowed respectfully, and, after a period of silent contemplation, Arya explained their predicament, speaking of their love, but also their growing unease, the subtle cracks they felt appearing in their foundation of trust and understanding. Deepak nodded, his gaze fixed on the elder, silently affirming Arya's words. Elder Surya listened patiently, his eyes serene and understanding, never interrupting. When they finished, he gestured towards the colossal banyan tree. "Look at this tree," he said, his voice a gentle rustle like its leaves. "It has stood here for centuries, weathering storms, droughts, and the changing seasons. What gives it such enduring strength, do you think?" Arya pondered for a moment, then suggested, "Its deep roots, master." Deepak added, "And its strong trunk, able to support such a wide canopy." Surya smiled, his gaze resting on them both. "Indeed, but consider also its branches, reaching out, yet always connected to the core. And its leaves, each one reaching for the light, yet part of a greater whole." The elder continued, "A relationship, my dear ones, is much like this ancient tree. Its roots are trust, respect, and honesty. If these roots are shallow or damaged, the tree cannot withstand the storms of life. Its trunk is your shared commitment, your loyalty to one another, providing stability. And its branches are your individual lives, your passions, your friendships, reaching outwards, yet always returning to the core of your connection. If one branch tries to break free, or if the roots are neglected, the whole tree suffers. He paused, allowing his words to sink in, the gentle breeze rustling through the banyan's leaves, creating a soothing, rhythmic sound. Your disquiet, Surya explained, often arises when these roots begin to fray. Perhaps a small untruth, a withheld feeling, a subtle disrespect, or an unexamined expectation. These are like tiny insects gnawing at the roots. They may seem insignificant at first, but over time, they weaken the entire structure. Just as the tree needs constant nourishment and attention to its roots, your relationship needs continuous care, open communication, and an unwavering commitment to truth and mutual honor. He looked from Arya to Deepak, his gaze inviting them to look deeply within themselves. To cultivate right conduct in your relationship, Surya advised, is to constantly tend to these roots. It means speaking your truth with kindness, even when it is difficult. It means listening with an open heart, even when you disagree. It means honoring your vows and commitments, not just in grand gestures, but in the small, everyday choices. It means being mindful of the impact of your words and actions, ensuring they always build up, never tear down. It is a continuous practice of awareness, compassion, and choosing integrity, even when no one else is watching, for your partner's heart is always watching. Arya and Deepak listened intently, a new understanding dawning upon them. They realized that their subtle disquiet stemmed from small, accumulated acts of inattention, minor evasions, and a gradual slipping away from the mindful cultivation of their shared space. It wasn't one grand betrayal, but a series of small neglects that had begun to weaken their roots. They looked at each other, a silent acknowledgement passing between them, a renewed commitment reflected in their eyes. The banyan tree stood as a silent witness to their quiet resolution, its strength a testament to the power of deep, enduring roots. Remember, Elder Surya concluded, the tree does not demand, it simply stands, offering shade and fruit. Yet, it thrives because its roots are deep and its connection to the earth is strong. Cultivate your love with the same mindful attention, and your relationship will grow like this ancient banyan, providing shelter and solace for many years to come. Let your actions be clear, your words be true, and your hearts be open. This is the wisdom of nurturing love with integrity. He then closed his eyes, inviting them to sit in silence, allowing the profound peace of the banyan's presence to permeate their beings. This story of Arya, Deepak, and the ancient banyan tree beautifully illustrates the profound wisdom of the third precept in the context of intimate relationships. It shows us that right conduct is about cultivating deep roots of trust, honesty, and mutual respect, which are essential for a relationship to withstand the inevitable challenges of life. The elders' teachings emphasize that integrity is not just about avoiding major transgressions, but about the consistent, mindful attention to small, everyday choices that either strengthen or weaken the bond between partners. It is a call to nurture love with truthfulness and compassionate awareness. Alan Watts once said, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance." Arya and Deepak, by seeking wisdom and reflecting on their relationship, plunged into the necessary change. They learned that true harmony in intimacy comes from an active, conscious effort to align their actions with principles of respect and honesty. allowing their love to grow with the enduring strength of the ancient tree. Their journey was a testament to the power of mindful awareness in transforming challenges into opportunities for deeper connection and understanding. As we allow the profound imagery of the ancient tree and its deep roots to inspire our understanding of integrity in relationships, we prepare to further explore the implications of the third precept. Let us now turn our attention to how this principle of respectful and responsible conduct actively fosters the flourishing of true connection, highlighting how nurturing love with attention and honesty allows for genuine respect to blossom in all our intimate interactions, creating spaces of profound trust and authentic sharing. The flourishing of respect. Having reflected on the ancient banyan tree and the wisdom of cultivating deep roots of trust and honesty in our intimate connections, let us now explore how the third precept actively fosters the flourishing of profound respect in all our relationships. This principle extends far beyond merely avoiding improper conduct. It is an invitation to cultivate an atmosphere of dignity, mutual understanding, and genuine care in every interaction. When we approach others with respect, we acknowledge their inherent worth, their unique journey, and their right to autonomy, creating a fertile ground where authentic connection and harmony can truly blossom, transforming casual encounters into opportunities for mindful engagement. Respect, in this context, involves mindful communication. It means listening deeply, truly hearing what another person is saying without immediately formulating our own response or judgment. It means speaking with kindness, choosing words that uplift and clarify rather than those that diminish or confuse. It also encompasses respecting differing opinions and perspectives, even when they diverge from our own, and engaging in dialogue with an open mind and a willingness to understand. This mindful approach to communication lays the groundwork for genuine connection, ensuring that every exchange is imbued with consideration and a sincere intention to connect rather than to dominate or dismiss. The flourishing of respect also demands emotional honesty and transparency. This does not mean revealing every fleeting thought, but rather communicating our true feelings and intentions in a clear and compassionate manner, especially in close relationships. Avoiding passive aggression, subtle manipulation, or withholding important truths are all aspects of this emotional integrity. When we are honest about our feelings and needs, we create an environment where others can trust us, fostering a sense of psychological safety. This allows for vulnerability and authenticity, which are essential ingredients for deep, meaningful connections to thrive, transforming superficial interactions into profound opportunities for shared human experience. Consider how respect impacts our personal boundaries. Upholding the third precept means not only respecting the boundaries of others, but also clearly communicating and maintaining our own. This involves saying no when necessary, articulating our needs, and ensuring that our relationships are balanced and reciprocal, rather than one-sided or exploitative. When boundaries are clearly understood and mutually respected, relationships become healthier and more sustainable. This self-respect is not selfish. It is a fundamental aspect of self-care that allows us to engage with others from a place of wholeness and integrity, preventing resentment and fostering genuine connection built on mutual regard. In the broader context of society, the flourishing of respect is essential for creating a just and compassionate world. It means challenging discrimination, prejudice, and any form of exploitation, recognizing the inherent dignity of every human being regardless of their background, beliefs, or identity. It involves advocating for fairness and equality, and actively working to dismantle systems that perpetuate disrespect and harm. This societal application of the third precept extends our personal ethical conduct into a commitment to collective well-being, transforming individual mindfulness into a powerful force for positive social change, creating a world where all beings can live with dignity and peace. The cultivation of respect naturally leads to a deeper sense of empathy. When we truly respect another person, we are more likely to put ourselves in their shoes, to understand their experiences, and to feel compassion for their struggles. This empathetic understanding softens our hearts, dissolves barriers, and creates a bridge between ourselves and others. It allows us to move beyond judgment and into a space of shared humanity, recognizing that beneath superficial differences, all beings desire happiness and freedom from suffering. This empathetic connection is a powerful antidote to conflict and division, fostering a profound sense of unity and shared purpose. Shunryu Suzuki Roshi wisely taught, "Each of you is perfect the way you are, and you can use a little improvement." This paradox applies beautifully to the concept of respect. We respect others for who they are, acknowledging their inherent perfection, their unique journey. Yet, this respect also allows for the possibility of growth and improvement, both for ourselves and for others. It is a non-judgmental acceptance that creates space for learning and transformation, without imposing our own expectations or ideals. This balance of acceptance and encouragement fosters an environment where individuals feel safe to explore their full potential, knowing they are valued and supported. The freedom that blossoms from cultivating respect is profound. When we live with respect for ourselves and others, we are liberated from the burden of comparison, competition, and the constant need for external validation. We find peace in our own authenticity and in the genuine connections we forge. There is a lightness of being that comes from knowing our interactions are based on integrity and care, rather than on manipulation or self-interest. This ethical clarity allows us to move through the world with confidence and grace, fostering a deep sense of inner peace and harmony that radiates outwards, touching all those we encounter. This flourishing of respect is a continuous, active practice, not a destination. It requires ongoing mindfulness, self-reflection, and a sincere commitment to living with an open heart. It means being willing to acknowledge our own biases, to learn from our mistakes, and to continuously refine our approach to interacting with others. Each moment presents an opportunity to choose respect, to offer kindness, and to build bridges of understanding. This ongoing cultivation transforms our relationships into sources of profound joy and mutual growth, making our lives richer and more meaningful. As we allow these reflections on the blossoming of respect to settle gently within our hearts, understanding its vital role in creating harmonious connections, we prepare to shift our focus to yet another crucial aspect of ethical living. We will now turn our attention to the fourth precept, which guides us in the realm of communication, inviting us to reflect on the profound power of our words and the importance of speaking with truth, kindness, and wisdom. The fourth precept, speaking the truth. Let us now gently turn our attention to the fourth of the 5 precepts, the commitment to abstain from false speech. This precept invites us to cultivate honesty, clarity, and kindness in our communication, recognizing the immense power our words hold to build or to destroy, to heal or to harm. It extends beyond merely avoiding outright lies. It encompasses abstaining from harsh speech, divisive speech, and idle chatter that serves no beneficial purpose. At its heart, this principle encourages us to speak with mindfulness and integrity, ensuring that our words are truthful, beneficial, and offered at the right time, fostering an environment of trust and understanding in all our interactions. The essence of this precept lies in the understanding that our words are powerful creative forces. They shape our reality, influence our relationships, and impact our own minds. When we speak truthfully, with genuine intention, we build trust, strengthen connections, and create clarity. Conversely, when we engage in false speech, whether through outright lies, exaggeration, gossip, or slander, we erode trust, sow discord, and create confusion. This precept therefore calls us to be deeply mindful of every word we utter, recognizing its potential to either bring people together or drive them apart, guiding us towards communication that genuinely supports well-being. The Buddha identified 4 specific types of unskillful speech to avoid: lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle chatter. Lying is a direct distortion of the truth, deliberately misleading others. Divisive speech aims to create discord between people, spreading rumors or gossip that separates. Harsh speech is communication delivered with anger or malice, intended to hurt or demean. Idle chatter is speech that is frivolous, pointless, and wastes our own and others' precious time and energy. By consciously abstaining from these 4 forms, we begin to purify our communication, creating a clear channel for truth, kindness, and wisdom to flow through our words, transforming how we engage with the world. To speak truthfully is not always easy, especially when the truth might be uncomfortable or challenging. However, the precept encourages us to find ways to convey truth with compassion and skill. This means considering the impact of our words before we speak, asking ourselves, is this true? Is this kind? Is this beneficial? Is this the right time to say it? If a statement is true but unkind or unhelpful, it might be more skillful to remain silent or to rephrase it in a more compassionate way. This nuanced approach to truthful speech recognizes that wisdom often lies in the balance of honesty and empathy, ensuring that our words serve to uplift and heal rather than to wound. The practice of mindful listening is an integral part of upholding the 4th precept. Before we can speak truthfully and skillfully, we must first truly hear what others are communicating, both verbally and non-verbally. This involves giving our full attention, suspending judgment, and seeking to understand another's perspective before offering our own. When we listen mindfully, we create a space of safety and respect, which then allows for more authentic and truthful dialogue to emerge. This deep listening transforms communication from a one-sided transmission into a reciprocal exchange, fostering genuine connection and mutual understanding, enriching all our interactions. Cultivating a clear and calm mind is essential for speaking truthfully. When our minds are agitated by anger, fear, or craving, our speech often becomes unskillful, impulsive, and prone to falsehoods or harshness. Through practices like meditation and mindfulness, we can develop the inner stillness that allows us to pause before we speak, to reflect on our intentions, and to choose our words with greater wisdom. This inner clarity ensures that our speech arises from a place of peace and compassion, rather than from reactivity or confusion, making our words more impactful, more sincere, and ultimately more beneficial for everyone involved in the conversation. Thich Nhat Hanh beautifully articulated the power of mindful speech when he said, "When you speak, you can create a heaven or a hell." This profound statement underscores the immense responsibility we carry with our words. Our speech has the capacity to build bridges of understanding and love, or to erect walls of misunderstanding and resentment. By choosing to speak with truth, kindness, and mindfulness, we actively contribute to creating a more harmonious and compassionate world, transforming our daily interactions into opportunities for peace and healing, making our communication a conscious act of creating positive reality. The liberation that comes from speaking truthfully and skillfully is immense. When we consistently align our words with our deepest values, we experience a profound sense of integrity and inner peace. There is no need to remember past lies, no fear of contradiction, and no burden of deceit. This ethical clarity allows us to communicate with confidence and authenticity, fostering trust in our relationships and a clear conscience within ourselves. It is the freedom to express ourselves openly and honestly, knowing that our words are a reflection of our true, compassionate nature, contributing to a sense of holistic well-being. The fourth precept is a continuous invitation to refine our communication skills, to become more aware of the impact of our words, and to cultivate a heart that speaks from a place of wisdom and kindness. It is a path towards greater authenticity, deeper connection, and a more peaceful existence. By committing to truthful and skillful speech, we not only transform our own lives, but also contribute to the creation of a more compassionate and understanding world, one mindful word at a time, making every conversation an opportunity for peace. As we allow these reflections on the profound power of truthful and skillful speech to settle within our minds, preparing us for deeper insights, let us now turn our attention to a story that vividly illustrates the consequences of unskillful speech and the beauty of choosing sincerity. We will hear of a young man who learns the hard way about the echoes of lies and the resonant song of truth, discovering how our words truly shape our reality. The echo of a lie and the song of truth. In a village nestled at the edge of a whispering forest, where stories traveled quickly from hearth to hearth, lived a spirited young man named Rian. Rian possessed a quick wit and a charming smile, but sometimes his words were faster than his wisdom. He enjoyed being at the center of attention, and, in his eagerness to impress or amuse, occasionally embellished stories, spread rumors he hadn't verified, or made light of others' misfortunes, not out of malice, but from a thoughtless desire for social currency. His grandmother, a quiet woman who spent her days weaving intricate tapestries, often warned him, "Rian, words are like seeds. Once planted, they grow. Be mindful of what you sow, for you will surely harvest its fruit." One crisp autumn morning, a new tailor named Liam arrived in the village. Liam was a humble, skilled craftsman, but also a bit shy and reserved. Rian, in a moment of playful but thoughtless jest, started a rumor among his friends that Liam's stitching was crooked and that he used inferior cloth, even though Rian had never actually seen Liam's work. The rumor, like wildfire, spread quickly through the small community. Soon, villagers who had initially been curious about the new tailor began to eye him with suspicion. Liam's shop remained empty, his beautiful fabrics untouched, and his skilled hands idle. He looked increasingly disheartened, his gentle spirit fading under the weight of unspoken accusations. Rian at first felt a thrill from the attention his story had garnered. His friends laughed, and he felt clever. But as days turned into weeks, and he saw Liam's quiet despair, a heavy feeling began to settle in his chest. The tailor's once bright eyes now held a shadow of sadness, and his shoulders seemed to slump with each passing day. Rian's grandmother noticed his growing unease. "The echo of a lie, Rian," she said softly as she worked her loom, "is often louder and longer than the initial sound. It reverberates, causing suffering far beyond your immediate intention. The seeds you planted are now bearing bitter fruit." Her words, gentle yet firm, resonated deeply within Rian's troubled heart. Overcome with guilt, Rian approached his grandmother for advice. "Grandmother," he confessed, "I have made a terrible mistake. My careless words have harmed an innocent man. How can I undo the damage? How can I unplant the seeds I have sown?" His grandmother paused her weaving and looked at him with loving eyes. "Go, my dear Rian," she instructed, "and gather a pillow full of feathers. Then climb to the highest point of the village at dawn and release them into the wind." Rian, confused but desperate, followed her instructions. The next morning, he stood on the highest hill, a pillowcase bursting with soft feathers, and watched as the wind carried them in every direction, scattering them far and wide. He returned to his grandmother, feeling a strange mix of emptiness and confusion. "I have done as you asked," he said. "Now, how do I fix the tailor's reputation?" His grandmother smiled gently. "Now, Rian," she said, "go and gather every single feather you released. Bring them back to me." Rian stared at her, aghast. "But grandmother, that is impossible. The wind has carried them to every corner of the village, into the forest, across the fields. I could never find them all." He realized the enormity of her lesson, a profound understanding dawning upon him about the irreversible nature of words once spoken. "Precisely," his grandmother replied, her voice filled with quiet wisdom. "And so it is with words, Rian. Once they leave your lips, they cannot be unsaid. They fly on the winds of gossip and assumption, settling in places you can never retrieve them from. The damage, once done, is incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible, to fully undo. This is why we must be so incredibly mindful, so deeply careful with every single word we choose to utter." Rian felt the full weight of his actions, a deep regret washing over him, realizing the true power and consequence of his thoughtless speech. Determined to make amends, even if he couldn't gather all the feathers, Rian returned to the village. He went to each person he had shared the rumor with, openly admitting his mistake, explaining that he had spoken falsely and without knowing the truth. He praised Liam's craftsmanship, encouraging everyone to visit the tailor's shop and see for themselves. He spoke with sincerity and humility, not seeking forgiveness, but simply striving to speak the truth now, to counteract the false echo he had created. It was a long and arduous process, met with skepticism by some, but his genuine remorse and persistent efforts slowly began to turn the tide. Slowly, gradually, the villagers began to visit Liam's shop. They saw his exquisite stitching, felt the quality of his fabrics, and discovered his gentle, honest nature. The song of truth, though slower to spread than the echo of the lie, began to resonate. Liam's business slowly recovered, and the shadow lifted from his eyes. Rian, though he could never fully retrieve every single feather, learned a profound and lasting lesson. He became known not only for his wit, but for his newfound integrity and the careful, compassionate way he chose his words, always remembering the scattering feathers and the quiet wisdom of his grandmother. This story of Rian, the tailor Liam, and the scattered feathers powerfully illustrates the fourth precept, the commitment to speaking the truth. It reveals the immense responsibility we carry with our words and the far-reaching, often irreversible consequences of unskillful speech. Rian's journey from thoughtless gossip to sincere repentance and active truth-telling highlights that while we cannot always fully undo the harm caused by our words, we can always choose to act with integrity moving forward, striving to mend what is broken and to cultivate communication that builds trust and fosters harmony. Ajahn Chah, a revered Thai forest master, often taught, "If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. If you let go completely, you will have complete peace." Rian's journey was one of letting go of his ego's desire for attention and embracing the truth, no matter how uncomfortable. In doing so, he began to find a deeper, more lasting peace. This story reminds us that the path of truth, though sometimes challenging, ultimately leads to liberation from the burdens of deceit and regret, opening the heart to genuine connection and inner serenity. As we allow the profound lesson of Rian's journey to settle within our hearts, reflecting on the enduring impact of our words, we prepare to explore the broader implications of the fourth precept. Let us now turn our attention to how this principle of speaking truth, kindness, and wisdom actively cultivates clarity in our communication, highlighting how mindful speech builds bridges of understanding and fosters a more harmonious and peaceful existence for ourselves and for all those we encounter. The clarity of conscious communication. Having understood the profound and sometimes irreversible impact of our words through Rian's story, let us now delve deeper into the active cultivation of conscious communication, which is the very essence of the fourth precept. This practice is not just about avoiding falsehoods, but about intentionally choosing words that are true, kind, beneficial, and timely, thereby fostering an environment of clarity, trust, and genuine connection. Conscious communication transforms our interactions from mere exchanges of information into opportunities for deeper understanding, mutual respect, and shared well-being, enriching every aspect of our lives. Conscious communication begins with deep self-awareness. Before we speak, we are invited to pause and examine our own intentions. Are we speaking to truly connect, to offer support, to share wisdom, or are we driven by a desire to impress, to complain, to criticize, or to manipulate? This moment of internal inquiry allows us to choose our words from a place of clarity and compassion rather than from reactivity or unexamined impulses. It is about aligning our speech with our deepest values, ensuring that our words are an authentic expression of our inner peace and wisdom, rather than a reflection of our internal turmoil or unskillful desires. The practice of mindful listening, as touched upon previously, is indispensable for clear communication. Before we formulate our responses, we must truly listen to understand, not just to reply. This involves giving the speaker our full, undivided attention, suspending judgment, and trying to grasp their perspective, their feelings, and their underlying needs. When we listen mindfully, we create a space of safety and validation, allowing the other person to feel truly heard and respected. This deep listening not only prevents misunderstandings, but also fosters empathy and strengthens the bond between individuals, making subsequent dialogue more meaningful and effective. Conscious communication also involves choosing our words with precision and care. This means avoiding vague language, ambiguous statements, or jargon that might confuse others. It also means striving for simplicity and directness, expressing our thoughts and feelings clearly and concisely. Just as a sculptor carefully selects each tool and shapes the clay with intention, we are invited to shape our words with deliberate awareness, ensuring they convey exactly what we mean without unnecessary embellishment or obfuscation. This precision in language minimizes misinterpretation and fosters a sense of intellectual honesty, building bridges of clarity. The element of kindness is paramount in conscious communication. Even when conveying difficult truths or addressing challenging issues, it is possible to do so with gentleness and compassion. Harsh words, even if factually accurate, can wound and create defensiveness, hindering genuine understanding. The precept encourages us to find the most compassionate way to express ourselves, softening our tone, choosing empathetic language, and focusing on solutions rather than blame. This kindness ensures that our message is received with an open heart, making it more likely to be heard and acted upon constructively, fostering healing rather than further discord. Thich Nhat Hanh, the beloved Zen master, often taught about deep listening and loving speech. He emphasized that these two practices are interconnected and essential for building peace and understanding. He said, "In the practice of deep listening, you listen with only one purpose, to offer the other person a chance to empty their heart. And from that place of understanding, loving speech naturally arises. This holistic approach to communication transforms it into a spiritual practice, a conscious act of cultivating peace and compassion in every interaction, making our words a source of healing." Conscious communication also means being mindful of the timing and context of our speech. There are times when silence is more skillful than words, when a delay allows for emotions to settle, or when a private conversation is more appropriate than a public one. Discerning the right time and place to speak is a crucial aspect of wisdom. It prevents unnecessary conflict, allows for greater receptivity, and ensures that our words have the greatest positive impact. This thoughtful consideration of context demonstrates respect for others and a deep understanding of the dynamics of human interaction. The freedom that arises from conscious communication is profound. When we speak truthfully, kindly, and skillfully, we are liberated from the burden of guilt, regret, and the fear of misunderstanding. Our relationships become more authentic, built on a foundation of trust and clarity. There is an inner lightness that comes from knowing our words are aligned with our deepest values, fostering a sense of integrity and peace. This ethical clarity allows us to express ourselves openly and honestly, knowing that our communication contributes positively to the world, creating harmony rather than discord. Alan Watts, with his characteristic blend of wit and wisdom, once said, "The stream flows into the river into the sea, and the sea into the sky." Everything is connected. Our words are like droplets in this stream of connection. Conscious communication recognizes this profound interconnectedness, understanding that every word we utter contributes to the larger flow of reality. By choosing our words mindfully, we ensure that our contribution is one of clarity, kindness, and truth, enriching the entire tapestry of existence and fostering a deeper sense of unity. This clarity of conscious communication is a continuous journey of refinement, requiring ongoing practice and self-reflection. Each conversation, each interaction, is an opportunity to cultivate greater mindfulness in our speech. By committing to this path, we not only transform our own communication habits, but also inspire those around us to engage with greater awareness and compassion. This cultivates a more peaceful and understanding world, one truthful, kind, and skillful word at a time. As we allow these reflections on the profound impact of conscious communication to settle gently within our hearts, understanding how our words shape our reality, we prepare to explore the final, yet equally vital aspect of the 5 precepts. Let us now turn our attention to the 5th precept, which guides us in maintaining a clear and conscious mind, inviting us to reflect on the importance of protecting our awareness and cultivating profound mindfulness in every moment. The 5th precept, clear and conscious mind. Let us now gently turn our attention to the 5th and final of the 5 precepts, the commitment to abstain from intoxicating substances that lead to heedlessness. This precept is not merely about avoiding alcohol or drugs. At its deeper essence, it is an invitation to cultivate a clear, alert, and conscious mind, recognizing that our awareness is our most precious tool for understanding reality and navigating life skillfully. It encourages us to protect our mental clarity, ensuring that our perceptions are unclouded and our decisions are made from a place of wisdom rather than confusion or impaired judgment. This principle fosters a profound respect for our own consciousness, treating it as a sacred space to be diligently guarded. The core purpose of this precept is to protect our mindfulness, which is the cornerstone of all Buddhist practice. Mindfulness allows us to be fully present, to observe our thoughts and emotions without being swept away by them, and to respond to life with wisdom and compassion. Intoxicating substances, by their very nature, diminish our capacity for clear awareness, clouding our judgment, dulling our perceptions, and making us more prone to unskillful actions, words, and thoughts that can cause harm to ourselves and others. The precept, therefore, serves as a crucial safeguard, preserving the very faculty that enables us to awaken and live ethically. This precept extends beyond literal intoxicants to encompass anything that leads to heedlessness or negligence. This could include excessive engagement with entertainment that dulls the mind, compulsive internet browsing that distracts from present reality, or even certain patterns of thought that keep us perpetually confused or unaware. The invitation is to examine anything that habitually pulls us away from clarity and conscious presence. By identifying and skillfully navigating these sources of heedlessness, we actively cultivate a mind that is vibrant, alert, and capable of deep insight, making our daily lives a continuous practice of awakening. Cultivating a clear mind is essential for ethical living in all its dimensions. When our minds are clouded, we are more likely to violate the other precepts, to cause harm through recklessness, to take what is not given due to impaired judgment, to engage in improper conduct from a lack of awareness, or to speak falsely from confusion. The 5th precept acts as a foundational support for all the others, ensuring that we possess the mental clarity and presence of mind necessary to uphold our ethical commitments consistently and skillfully. It is the guardian of our good conduct, allowing us to act with intentionality rather than being driven by unconscious impulses. The practice of mindfulness meditation is the active counterpart to this precept. By regularly sitting in stillness, observing the breath, and noticing the arising and passing of thoughts and sensations, we systematically train our minds to be more present, more focused, and more aware. This practice strengthens our capacity for clear seeing, allowing us to discern what is beneficial from what is harmful, and to respond to life's challenges with greater wisdom and less reactivity. It is through this diligent cultivation of mindfulness that we truly embody the spirit of the 5th precept, transforming our minds into a sanctuary of clarity and peace, capable of profound insight. Consider the profound freedom that comes from living with a clear and conscious mind. When we are free from the dulling effects of intoxicants or other forms of heedlessness, we experience life more fully, with greater vividness and appreciation. Our senses are sharper, our emotions are clearer, and our thoughts are more coherent. This clarity allows for deeper connections with ourselves, with others, and with the natural world, fostering a profound sense of presence and engagement. It is the freedom to experience reality directly, without filters or distortions, leading to a richer, more meaningful existence, unburdened by confusion or regret. Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, in his profound teachings, often emphasized the importance of a beginner's mind, or shoshin. This beginner's mind is open, eager, and free from preconceptions, much like the clear and conscious mind this precept encourages. He said, "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. Intoxicants and heedlessness cloud this beginner's mind, making us feel like experts who already know, thereby closing us off to new possibilities and fresh insights. By maintaining clarity, we retain this precious openness, allowing us to learn, grow, and continuously awaken to the wonders of existence, fostering a sense of ongoing discovery." This precept is also deeply connected to self-care and self-respect. Choosing to protect our mental clarity is an act of profound self-love, recognizing the value of our own consciousness and our potential for awakening. It is about honoring our physical and mental well-being, providing our bodies and minds with the conditions necessary to thrive. When we treat our minds as precious, we naturally gravitate towards choices that support their health and vitality, rather than those that diminish or impair them. This self-respect becomes a powerful motivation for upholding the precept, transforming it into a practice of nurturing our deepest potential. The fifth precept is not about judgment of others' choices, but about a personal commitment to the path of awakening. It recognizes that for spiritual growth and the cultivation of wisdom, a clear and stable mind is indispensable. It is a continuous invitation to examine our habits, to question what truly serves our highest good, and to gently steer ourselves towards practices and choices that enhance our clarity and presence. This ongoing process of mindful self-inquiry transforms our relationship with our own consciousness, making it a powerful ally on our journey towards liberation and deep inner peace. As we allow these reflections on the profound importance of maintaining a clear and conscious mind to settle within our being, understanding its vital role in our journey of awakening, we prepare to encounter a story that beautifully illustrates this very principle. We will hear of a traveler and a turbulent river, a tale that reveals the wisdom of patience and clarity in navigating the challenges of life, and the value of preserving lucidity for true perception. The river and the turbid water. In a land of vast plains and winding rivers, a weary traveler named Anand embarked on a long journey in search of a hidden spring, rumored to offer the clearest, most refreshing water in all the region. He had heard tales of its purity, capable of bringing profound clarity to both body and mind. One scorching afternoon, after days of walking beneath the relentless sun, Anand arrived at a wide, fast-flowing river. Its waters, usually a shimmering blue, were churned and muddy from recent heavy rains upstream, carrying twigs, leaves, and sediment, making it utterly opaque and uninviting. Anand was parched, his throat dry, and his body aching for hydration. His first impulse was to scoop up the turbid water, hoping that if he let it sit for a moment, the mud would settle. But he knew from past experience that such water would likely still be gritty and unpalatable, perhaps even unsafe. He longed for the clear, pure water of the spring he sought, but the river seemed to mock his quest with its murky chaos. Frustration began to bubble within him, mirroring the agitation of the river itself. he felt a deep sense of impatience, a longing to quench his thirst immediately, even if it meant consuming something that was far from ideal. He sat down on the riverbank, his eyes scanning the swirling currents, feeling the heat radiate from the sun-baked earth. He thought of the fifth precept, which his old teacher, Master Leela, had often spoken about. Protect your mind as you would protect the clearest spring. Do not willingly pour anything into it that will make its waters turbid and unfit for true perception. Anand realized that his own mind, agitated by thirst and impatience, was becoming as turbid as the river before him. He was allowing his immediate desires to cloud his judgment, just as the mud clouded the water. Instead of trying to force the water to clear or trying to drink it prematurely, Anand decided to follow his teacher's wisdom. He took a deep breath and simply watched the river. He observed the relentless flow, the debris being carried downstream, the subtle shifts in the current. He noticed the sun beginning to dip towards the horizon, casting long, peaceful shadows. He reminded himself that just as the river would eventually clear itself if left undisturbed, so too would his mind find clarity if he allowed it to settle, without trying to force an outcome or succumb to his immediate cravings. Hours passed. The sun set, and the cool evening breeze began to stir. Anand continued his patient vigil, his mind gradually becoming calmer, mirroring the slowing pace of the river's flow. The sounds of the night, the chirping crickets, and the rustling leaves became a soothing symphony. He noticed that the heaviest sediments in the river had begun to settle, and the water, though still not perfectly clear, was becoming noticeably less turbid. He resisted the urge to disturb it, to rush the process, understanding that true clarity required patience and non-interference, allowing nature to take its course. By dawn, when the first rays of sunlight touched the river's surface, Anand awoke from a light, peaceful sleep. He looked at the river, and his heart filled with a profound sense of awe. The water, now calm and still, reflected the pristine blue of the morning sky. The mud and debris had settled to the bottom, leaving the surface exquisitely clear, revealing the smooth stones and shimmering fish beneath. It was not the hidden spring he sought, but the river itself had transformed, offering a clarity he had doubted possible just hours before. He carefully cupped his hands and drank, the cool, pure water revitalizing his entire being. This experience was a powerful lesson for Anand. He realized that just as he had allowed the river to clear itself naturally, he too needed to allow his own mind to settle, to release the agitation and impatience that clouded his perception. He understood that intoxicating substances, like the heavy rains that churned the river, temporarily obscure our inner clarity, preventing us from seeing things as they truly are. The wisdom of the fifth precept, he now saw, was not about rigid rules, but about cultivating the patience and presence of mind to allow our inner waters to remain clear, enabling true perception to emerge. He continued his journey, but with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper understanding of the value of mental clarity. Whenever he encountered a challenge or felt his mind becoming agitated, he would remember the turbid river and the wisdom of waiting, allowing things to settle naturally. He understood that true lucidity was not something to be forced, but something to be protected and cultivated with mindful patience, allowing the inherent wisdom of his own consciousness to shine through, unclouded by external or internal distractions. This story of Anand and the turbid river beautifully illustrates the profound wisdom of the fifth precept, the commitment to maintaining a clear and conscious mind. It reveals that patience, non-interference, and allowing our inner waters to settle naturally are crucial for true perception. Just as the river eventually cleared itself, our minds, when protected from intoxicants and heedlessness, can regain their inherent clarity, enabling us to see reality as it truly is and to make wise, compassionate choices. Dogen Zenji, the founder of Soto Zen in Japan, taught, "Although it is not easy to see the truth, it is even harder to understand what it means to look." Anand learned what it meant to look, not just with his physical eyes, but with a clear and patient mind. He understood that preserving lucidity was the key to true perception, allowing him to see the profound wisdom in the simple act of waiting. This story reminds us that our inner clarity is a precious resource to be guarded and nurtured with diligent mindfulness. As we allow the quiet wisdom of Anand's journey and the image of the clear river to settle within us, reflecting on the value of preserving our lucidity, we prepare to delve deeper into the active cultivation of this profound awareness. Let us now turn our attention to how the fifth precept actively fosters the awakening of full consciousness, exploring how protecting our mind becomes the key to unlocking true wisdom, freedom, and a vibrant engagement with every moment of our precious lives. The awakening of full awareness. Having reflected on Anand's journey to clarity by the turbid river and the profound importance of maintaining a clear and conscious mind, let us now delve deeper into how the fifth precept actively fosters the awakening of full awareness, or sati. This is not merely the absence of intoxication, but the positive, vibrant cultivation of mindfulness in every aspect of our daily lives. It is an invitation to live with an engaged presence, bringing our full attention to each moment, each action, and each interaction, thereby transforming mundane activities into opportunities for profound insight and spiritual growth. The awakening of full awareness begins with cultivating moment-to-moment mindfulness. This means bringing our attention to simple, everyday activities that we often perform on autopilot. When we eat, we truly taste the food, noticing its textures and flavors. When we walk, we feel the sensation of our feet on the ground. When we speak, we are aware of our words and their impact. This continuous practice of bringing conscious attention to the present moment helps to sharpen our perceptions, deepen our appreciation for life, and prevent our minds from being lost in distractions, worries, or daydreams. It anchors us firmly in the here and now, the only place where life truly unfolds. The practice of mindfulness also extends to our inner landscape, our thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations. Instead of being swept away by a wave of anger or anxiety, full awareness allows us to observe these internal phenomena with a sense of gentle curiosity and non-judgment. We notice them arising, acknowledge their presence, and watch them pass without identifying with them or allowing them to control our reactions. This capacity for detached observation creates a spaciousness within our minds, offering us the freedom to respond skillfully to life's challenges rather than reacting impulsively, thereby fostering inner peace and emotional resilience. Protecting our mind, as encouraged by the fifth precept, is a continuous act of conscious choice. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded with information, entertainment, and demands on our attention. The awakening of full awareness requires us to be discerning about what we allow into our consciousness, choosing inputs that nourish and uplift rather than those that agitate, confuse, or dull our senses. This digital mindfulness, just like abstaining from physical intoxicants, is crucial for maintaining mental clarity and preventing heedlessness, ensuring that our inner sanctuary remains a place of peace and insight, capable of deep contemplation and genuine presence. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is the path to the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death. Those who are mindful do not die. Those who are heedless are as if dead already. This powerful statement underscores the vital importance of full awareness. It is through mindfulness that we connect to the timeless, unchanging nature of reality, transcending the limitations of our conditioned minds. Heedlessness, conversely, keeps us trapped in cycles of suffering, living as if asleep to the true potential of our existence. The fifth precept, therefore, is an invitation to choose life, to choose awakening, to choose the vibrant, living presence that mindfulness offers. Full awareness also cultivates a profound sense of gratitude and appreciation for the simple wonders of life. When we are truly present, we notice the intricate beauty of a leaf, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the sound of a bird's song, or the kindness in another person's eyes. These moments, often overlooked in our haste, become sources of deep joy and contentment. This appreciation shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, fostering a positive outlook and a profound connection to the richness of existence. It transforms our daily lives into a continuous celebration of the present moment, making every experience a gift. Jack Cornfield, a celebrated Buddhist teacher, often speaks about how mindfulness brings us back to our true nature. He says, "The things that we acquire, they are temporary. The only thing that is permanent is the love and the wisdom that we cultivate in our hearts." The awakening of full awareness helps us to see beyond the temporary, to connect with the timeless qualities of love and wisdom that reside within us. By being present and clear, we peel back the layers of conditioning and distraction, revealing the inherent clarity and compassion that is our birthright, leading us to profound self-discovery. The liberation that comes from the awakening of full awareness is immense. We are freed from the tyranny of unconscious habits, from the grip of unexamined emotions, and from the endless cycle of craving and aversion. We gain the capacity to respond to life with wisdom and compassion, rather than being driven by autopilot reactions. This freedom allows us to live with greater authenticity, purpose, and joy, fully engaged with the unfolding of each moment. It is the freedom to truly be ourselves, to express our deepest potential, and to live a life that is truly awake and vibrant. This awakening is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey of practice and refinement. There will be moments when our minds become clouded, when we lose our presence, or when we fall into heedlessness. The practice is not to judge ourselves harshly in these moments, but to gently and compassionately bring our attention back to the present, to renew our commitment to clarity, and to continue cultivating awareness with a beginner's mind. Each time we return, we strengthen our capacity for mindfulness, deepening our connection to our inner wisdom and peace. As we allow these reflections on the awakening of full awareness to settle deeply within our consciousness, understanding how protecting our mind becomes the key to true wisdom and freedom, we prepare to integrate all that we have explored. Let us now turn our attention to how these 5 individual precepts, which we have examined in detail, are not isolated rules, but rather interconnected threads that weave together to form a beautiful, coherent tapestry of ethical living, each supporting and enriching the others in a harmonious dance of compassion and liberation. The tapestry of the united precepts. Having journeyed through each of the 5 precepts individually, let us now appreciate how these seemingly distinct commitments are not isolated rules, but rather intricately interwoven threads that form a beautiful and coherent tapestry of ethical living. Each precept supports and strengthens the others, creating a holistic framework that guides us towards a life of profound peace, compassion, and wisdom. Understanding their interconnectedness reveals that upholding one precept naturally makes it easier to uphold the others, fostering a virtuous cycle of ethical conduct and inner transformation. Consider, for instance, how the first precept, non-harming, is intimately connected to all the others. When we cultivate a boundless sense of compassion and abstain from causing harm, we naturally extend this care to our interactions with others' property, second precept, our intimate relationships, third precept, our speech, fourth precept, and even our own minds, fifth precept. A mind filled with metta or loving kindness is less likely to steal, to exploit, to lie, or to dull itself with intoxicants. The foundation of non-harming radiates outwards, influencing every aspect of our ethical engagement with the world, making it a cornerstone for all skillful action. Similarly, the second precept of not taking what is not given, which cultivates honesty and generosity, profoundly impacts our capacity to uphold the other precepts. When we are honest and respectful of others' possessions and resources, we build trust, which is essential for wholesome relationships, third precept, and truthful communication, fourth precept. Our generosity, the active expression of this precept, fosters a sense of abundance that reduces the craving and attachment that often lead to unskillful actions, and a clear conscience, born from integrity, naturally supports a clear and conscious mind, fifth precept, free from the burden of deceit. The third precept, guiding right sexual conduct, emphasizes respect, responsibility, and integrity in intimate relationships. This respect for others' autonomy and well-being directly reinforces the principle of non-harming, first precept. It also requires honesty and transparency, second and fourth precepts, to build trust and avoid deceit. Furthermore, maintaining clarity of mind, fifth precept, is crucial for making responsible and consensual choices in intimate contexts, preventing actions driven by clouded judgment or impulse. Thus, ethical intimacy becomes a powerful expression of all the precepts working in concert, creating relationships that are truly wholesome and mutually enriching. The fourth precept, the commitment to speaking truthfully and skillfully, is a vital thread that binds the tapestry together. When our words are true, kind, beneficial, and timely, we prevent harm, first precept, build trust and avoid deceit, second and third precepts, and foster clarity in our interactions. Skillful speech requires a clear and conscious mind, fifth precept, to pause, reflect, and choose words wisely. Conversely, unskillful speech can quickly unravel the fabric of ethical conduct, leading to misunderstandings, conflicts, and breaches of trust. Therefore, mindful communication is not just an isolated practice, but a continuous expression of our integrated ethical commitment. Finally, the fifth precept, maintaining a clear and conscious mind, acts as a guardian for all the other precepts. When our mind is alert, clear, and free from heedlessness, we are far more capable of observing our impulses, making wise choices, and upholding our ethical commitments. A clouded mind is prone to recklessness, making it easier to cause harm, to take what is not given, to engage in improper conduct, or to speak falsely. By diligently protecting our mental clarity, we empower ourselves to live with consistent integrity across all aspects of our lives, ensuring that our ethical choices are made from a place of wisdom and intentionality. Thich Nhat Hanh often used the metaphor of a lotus flower, growing in mud to describe our practice. The mud represents our suffering and challenges, but the lotus, pure and beautiful, grows from it. Similarly, the precepts are not about avoiding the mud of life, but about allowing our ethical conduct to be the pure lotus that emerges from it. He said, "When you understand, you cannot help but act, but..." This understanding of interconnectedness means that as we deepen our grasp of one precept, our capacity to live all the precepts with greater wisdom and compassion naturally expands, leading to a more beautiful life. The integration of these precepts creates a powerful synergistic effect. It is like tuning an instrument. When each string is perfectly in tune with the others, the resulting music is harmonious and beautiful. Similarly, when our ethical conduct is aligned across all 5 precepts, our lives resonate with a profound sense of inner peace, integrity, and spiritual harmony. This holistic approach to ethics transforms our daily existence into a continuous practice of awakening, where every action, word, and thought becomes an opportunity to express our deepest compassion and wisdom. This ethical framework is not a burden, but a liberation. By committing to these intertwined principles, we free ourselves from the suffering caused by unskillful actions, from the burden of guilt, and from the confusion that arises when our conduct is out of alignment with our values. We gain the freedom to live authentically, to build genuine connections, and to contribute positively to the world. It is a path that leads away from self-inflicted suffering and towards a life of profound meaning, purpose, and joyful engagement, rooted in an unshakable inner peace. Alan Watts, with his characteristic ability to simplify complex ideas, often spoke of the natural flow of things. He might say, "When you understand the dance, you don't need to be told how to move." The tapestry of the united precepts is this dance. When we truly understand their interconnectedness and their purpose, ethical living becomes a natural, flowing expression of our awakened heart, rather than a rigid adherence to rules. It is a spontaneous outpouring of compassion and wisdom, guiding us effortlessly towards actions that benefit all. As we allow this profound understanding of the tapestry of the united precepts to settle within us, appreciating how each thread supports the whole, we prepare to move beyond mere rules. Let us now turn our attention to how these precepts, once deeply integrated, transcend their initial form and transform into natural expressions of a wise and compassionate heart, becoming a spontaneous outflow of our awakened nature, guided by profound wisdom and interconnected empathy. Beyond rules, the wisdom of compassion. Having woven together the intricate tapestry of the 5 precepts, let us now gently transcend the idea of them as mere rules and recognize them as natural expressions of a wise and compassionate heart. When deeply integrated into our being, these ethical guidelines transform from external injunctions into an intuitive, spontaneous outflow of our awakened nature. This shift marks a profound maturation in our spiritual journey, where right conduct is no longer a conscious effort, but a natural, effortless response to the world, born from an understanding of interconnectedness and a boundless desire for the well-being of all. This transformation occurs as our understanding of anatta, or non-self, deepens. When we realize that there is no fixed, separate self, the boundaries between me and you begin to dissolve. We see ourselves as part of a larger, interdependent web of existence. From this perspective, causing harm to another is literally causing harm to ourselves, and bringing joy to another is bringing joy to ourselves. The precepts then cease to be about personal gain or avoiding punishment. They become an intrinsic expression of our enlightened understanding, a natural inclination to act in ways that foster universal harmony and reduce suffering for all beings. The wisdom of compassion is the driving force behind this integrated ethical living. Compassion, or karuna, is the profound wish for all beings to be free from suffering, coupled with the willingness to act to alleviate that suffering. When our hearts are truly open and imbued with compassion, the precepts naturally become our guide. We abstain from harming because we feel the pain of others. We refrain from taking what is not given because we respect others' efforts and needs. We engage in right conduct in relationships because we value connection and mutual well-being. And we speak truthfully and maintain clarity of mind because we wish to alleviate confusion and foster understanding. This movement beyond rules into spontaneous wisdom is eloquently captured by the concept of skillful means, or upaya. It means that our ethical actions are not rigid or dogmatic, but are adapted with wisdom and flexibility to the unique circumstances of each situation, always guided by the intention to reduce suffering and promote well-being. A truly compassionate heart, rooted in the precepts, knows when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to allow, always discerning the most beneficial path. This nuanced approach reflects a deep understanding of reality, transcending simplistic adherence to rules, embracing a more dynamic and responsive ethical engagement. Consider the teachings of Alan Watts, who often spoke of the natural flow of life. He might suggest that when we are truly aligned with the Dharma, ethical living becomes as natural as breathing. We don't consciously try to breathe. It simply happens. Similarly, when the precepts are deeply embodied, we don't consciously try to be ethical. Kindness, honesty, and respect flow effortlessly from our being. This naturalness is a sign of profound inner transformation, where the external guidelines have become internalized wisdom, guiding us from a place of deep, intuitive understanding rather than intellectual effort. The freedom that blossoms from living beyond rules, guided by the wisdom of compassion, is the highest form of liberation. We are no longer bound by external expectations or the fear of transgression. Instead, our actions spring from an inner wellspring of love and clarity, making every choice an act of conscious creation. This profound freedom allows us to move through the world with grace, authenticity, and an unshakable inner peace, knowing that our very presence contributes to the healing and awakening of all beings, transforming our lives into a living testament to the Dharma. Pema Chodron, with her characteristic warmth, often speaks about leaning into the sharp points of life. When our ethical conduct is guided by compassion, we are able to lean into difficult situations, to meet suffering with an open heart, and to respond with wisdom rather than reactivity. The precepts, internalized as wisdom, give us the strength and clarity to navigate complexity, transforming challenges into opportunities for deepening our compassion and refining our understanding of what it means to live a truly ethical and awakened life, embracing all experiences with courage and grace. This ethical path, driven by compassion, also means actively engaging with the world to address suffering. It is not a passive withdrawal, but an active participation in creating a more just and peaceful society. This could involve advocating for human rights, protecting the environment, or working towards social justice. When the precepts are expressions of compassion, our ethical conduct naturally extends beyond our personal interactions to encompass a broader responsibility for the well-being of the entire planet and all its inhabitants, making our lives a force for positive change. The journey from following rules to embodying wisdom is a continuous process of refinement, requiring ongoing practice, self-reflection, and a willingness to learn from every experience. It is a path of deepening our mindfulness, cultivating our compassion, and trusting in the inherent wisdom of our own awakened heart. Each step we take, guided by these principles, brings us closer to a life of profound peace, genuine connection, and boundless love, where ethical living becomes a natural, joyful expression of our true nature, illuminating the path for others. As we allow these profound insights into the wisdom of compassion and the transcendence of mere rules to settle within our hearts, completing our exploration of the 5 precepts as a path to integrated ethical living, we now prepare for a gentle re-entry into the stillness of our own being. Let us transition to our final moments together, where we will re-anchor in the present, embrace the sufficiency of our own existence, and gently prepare for a deep, restorative sleep, carrying the seeds of peace and wisdom into our dreams. Concluding thoughts: the legacy of peace and deep sleep. As our shared journey through the profound wisdom of the 5 precepts draws to a gentle close, allow your awareness to slowly re-anchor itself within the quiet sanctuary of your own body. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your breath, a soft rhythm that has accompanied us throughout this exploration. There is nothing more you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. You are here in this moment, and that is profoundly sufficient. Let the reflections on non-harming, honesty, respectful conduct, truthful speech, and clarity of mind softly settle within your heart, like gentle rain nourishing the earth. These ancient principles are not burdens but luminous guides, offering a path to live with greater integrity, compassion, and peace. They are a legacy of wisdom, passed down through generations, inviting us to cultivate a life that is deeply meaningful and harmonious. Carry this understanding not as a set of rigid rules, but as a gentle whisper of inner knowing, a compass that always points towards well-being for yourself and for all beings. Recognize the inherent goodness within you, the capacity for kindness and wisdom that is always present, always accessible. Now, as the day gently recedes and the quiet embrace of night draws near, allow your body to soften even further. Release any lingering tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your hands. Feel the support beneath you, holding you completely. With each exhale, let go a little more, sinking deeper into a state of profound relaxation. Your journey through these teachings has prepared your mind and heart for a truly restorative rest, a sleep that rejuvenates your spirit and renews your inner peace. Remember that you are a wondrous being, capable of immense compassion and wisdom. The simple act of preparing for sleep, of allowing your body and mind to surrender to rest, is a miracle in itself. Embrace this sacred pause, this moment of profound self-care. There is nothing to strive for, nothing to achieve. Just allow yourself to be held by the quietude of this moment, drifting effortlessly into a peaceful slumber, carrying the seeds of ethical living and inner harmony into your dreams. May your sleep be deep, undisturbed, and profoundly restorative. May you awaken refreshed, with a clear mind and a compassionate heart, ready to meet the new day with renewed awareness and purpose. If these words have touched something profound within you, and you wish to return to this tranquil space for further contemplation and peace, please consider subscribing. This is your sanctuary. Return whenever your spirit needs this quiet meeting. Good night. Rest well.